Hello, fellow warriors against consensus reality, lovers of truth, wisdom, the esoteric path, slayers of two-faced, hypocritical, backstabbing gobshites. It's a nice, overcast, rainy Thursday morning. No normies, no gobshites, no Karens, anywhere to be seen or heard. And this thought was in my mind earlier as I woke up and just enjoyed the quietness of the morning, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. I suppose it goes hand in glove with my previous video. It kind of, I suppose, reaffirms that. But by the way, if one or two of you new people don't like the sound of my voice, may I suggest you unsub and fuck off? Thanks. Oh, and consider yourself blocked. Yeah, your little comment didn't go through, so yeah, my voice isn't for everybody. If you don't like it, unsub and bug it off. Simple. Whatever. What I'm noticing more and more with women, men, the manosphere, dating, feminism, etc., etc. I know I've said this a few times before and throughout my videos, but I'll reaffirm it here right now. You'll notice that, and I'm sure you'll find from your own experience, the worst quote-unquote enemy isn't actually purple-haired feminist women. It's actually simping, limp-wristed, soy-drenched men who white knight for other women mindlessly and are the first to attack men who actually have any kind of valid critique or criticism of what a woman says or does. And you'll find that they are the most fanatical in their defense of women, and they are the ones who put, quote, pussy on a pedestal, unquote, from the black guy from the film 40-Year-Old Virgin. He goes on about he says, one of your problem is you put pussy on a pedestal. But yeah, it's actually true, because they elevate them to such an nth degree that these horse-faced Shrek beasts believe themselves to be queens, and they deserve a man who earns at least $200,000 a year and is, 6'4" and has the perfect physical body and no children, right? But she can have as many children from as many previous partners as possible, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's not the feminists' fault. I mean, women are by nature easily influenced and led, so they're not really the prime focus here. It's the men who attack other men in the name of putting women on a pedestal. The white knights, the simps, right? And these are the guys who are, you'll notice, the most angry and bitter and scathing in the tone of voice when talking about men who choose not to worship at the altar of the great golden vagina, who are not pick-up artists, who don't want as much pussy as possible. Yes, I know, we do exist. Because there is a mistaken idea that a man's value, and now of course this leads to the topic of today's video, that a man's value is measured by how much female validation he gains. How many women he's dated, or whether he's in a relationship and how long has he been in a relationship, and what is the quality of the woman in this relationship. How many women has he mindlessly rutted like two dogs in heat? Right? And somehow, somewhere along the way, in this day and age, that has equated without question to elevating a man's value, elevating his worth, which of course goes hand in glove with how much money does he make. It's modern women. It's almost the first question coming out of modern women's mouths, sadly. What do you do for a living? You've seen normies try to socialise at any kind of barbecue or social gathering. What's one of the first questions? What do you do for a living? Who fucking cares? Most people hate their job anyway. It's just mindless slave wage earning. To pay the bills and live their lives. And of course, to live their lives these days, it involves paying for stuff, paying for goods and services. And to get the money, you need to get your hands on money. And in most cases, that's earning it through a job, which you really fucking hate. You don't give a fuck about the company, but you do it so you can get the money. You can see people waiting on a train platform on a Tuesday morning. I say Monday, Tuesday because they in their minds they've got the whole rest of the week to go before their beloved weekend, right? Where they have 2 days of reprieve. Well, it's not really 2 whole days, it's 1.5, because by Sunday afternoon they can hear Monday morning saying, "You can feel me, can't you?" But and plus, really, it's not really even 1.5 days, because they tend to sleep for the first half of the Saturday or Sunday morning. But I digress. And so there are some few fortunate people who actually do work for themselves, and they are very lucky indeed, because they hopefully doing what they love doing and supporting themselves financially doing it. Now, in my opinion, that's the dream. Getting paid for doing what you actually love. And of course, usually the third question is they want to find out is if you're enslaved to the banks via the mortgage scam. Especially in this country, it's incredible. People in this country are slaves to owning their own home. And of course, as I've said, having completed my associate diploma in survey drafting and been there, done that, in this country you don't actually own the land, you only own the building. Which is why when you want to build a shed or any kind of improvement to your home, this is why you need council approval, because you don't actually own the land. So yeah, by all means, pay $2 million for a 3-bedroom shitbox in Western Sydney, which is small and crap. And you, as I said, you're only paying for the building, and you're being financially enslaved for the rest of your life, and feeling the financial pressure every single week and fortnight, necessitating the need to drag yourself out of bed on every morning and get dressed and go to your job that you really fucking hate and deal with your backstabbing, crappy co-workers and micromanaging asshole managers and supervisors, and come back home totally exhausted with no real energy to do much more than eat and sleep. And then you get to wake up and do it again for 5 or 6 days a week. Woohoo! Right? But the problem is, somehow all of these things, oh, and of course you've got to own your own car. Yeah, that's the modern woman's one of the requirements. Oh, the guy has to own a car and he has to drive me around absolutely fucking everywhere. Well, I'm sorry, but some of us, due to our geographical locations and work history, never really needed a car, because public transport here was actually quite fantastic. And to this very day, I'm 51 years old and I don't have my driver's license, and I don't want it. If I ever do write my book and make squillions, I will actually have a round-the-clock driver, right? But, you know, that's beside the point. But that's the thing. But primarily the first one I spoke about. A man having women somehow equates to him having worth. The measure of his worth and value is exponentially increased for some weird reason. It has nothing to do with, is this man trustworthy, honourable, respectful, loyal, honest, etc., etc., etc. Is he a good man? Is he a friendly man? Is he a positive man? Does he help his other fellow human beings in any small way that he can? Or is he just trying to backstab and scam them out of a simple thing like getting them to mind 2 dogs for a whole day and not getting around to paying the $20 one was promised weeks later, right? But yeah, that is what it is. But somehow, I mean, is this man living the good life, as my ancient hallowed ancestors would ask? Is he living the good life? Now, of course, modern people today have a totally warped, skewed, inverted concept of what the good life actually is. But you can have, for example, any kind of humble job where you're supporting yourself financially, and you could be even renting somewhere, which isn't too big or too flash, but you could be thoroughly enjoying the hobbies and the interests which really spark your passion and give you that sparkle in your eye every day, and cocooning yourself from all the rest of the madness of today's modern world. Now, that man is the luckiest man in the world, because there's no falseness. He doesn't feel the need to hide behind pretense. And for fuck's sake, he doesn't make videos with sunglasses inside. Jeez. And culturally appropriating my ancestors by coming up with the Spartan Challenge, which is really code for, let me help you get the most amazing gym junkie body possible, for the ultimate aim of getting some kind of scared, poor, third world woman and what? Showing your worth thereby? Right? Yes, tribe of men, I'm talking to you. So that's a problem. You'll find that an increasing number of men have realised that the way things are now, as far as all the secret agendas and all the propaganda machinations that are in place, which enable women to be one of the most easily brainwashed, swayed group of people in today's world, where they just gobbled up feminism's ejaculation without a second thought, and how they're queens and you go girl, that kind of attitude. Go queen, right? And men are realizing that more and more of these women are this way, and as I said, the juice really isn't worth the squeeze as far as dating and sex and relationships. And so an increasing number of men are saying, you know what, fuck this, I'm just going to go my own way and do my own thing. I don't want this anymore because it's just costing me too much money and it's not worth the energy or the time. And of course, because there are the above mentioned group of men, usually, they kind of don't like that, because it totally invalidates the whole point of their entire existence, namely pussy begging. And of course, they're the first ones to call the rest of us incels. And you could always tell, because they get really, really angry when they're having their walking with purpose stream, right? And they get really angry and triggered by those of us who actually don't worship at the altar of the great golden vagina. Now, having said all that, there are still women who know how to truly love, stand with, and look after their men. They are very, very few and far between, but they do exist. And if you're fortunate enough to find one of these, then hang on to her and consider yourself extremely fortunate indeed. They're usually the kind of women who still love cooking and being feminine and worrying about their man if they sense that he's a little bit off. Yeah, that they can usually tell. They're so connected to their man that they can usually tell if he's not feeling particularly well. And the first question is, what's wrong? Because they really want to know. Yes, these women are very, very, very few and far between, but they do exist. But for the most part, they do not. And so an increasing number of men have realised, you know what, I'm just going to focus on, see, even the cockatoo agrees with me. Thank you. That, you know what, fuck this. I'm just going to focus on improving myself, making myself better than I was yesterday, and making myself as happy as I possibly can in my current and future circumstances. And you know what? That pursuit is extremely noble, especially when it's balanced as my ancient hallowed ancestors had the right holistic approach, where they not only focused on physical excellence and fitness, but nurturing the mind and the heart and the soul through various other creative pursuits. So I think that's all I will deal with today. I laugh when I hear this same group of men calling me, in online, of course, because they never say to my face, incel and all the rest of that. I'm sure many of you guys have copped it as well. But all you can do is laugh because you're realizing I'm not the one battling with decreasing levels of testosterone. You limp-wristed gobshites are, okay? And really, when all is said and done, I really do feel sorry for the poor little fuckers, the poor little limp-wristed fuckers, because they really have no fucking idea. It's incredible. But, that is what it is. And be well, be wise, be reverent. And to quote another film, Cool Runnings, make sure you're a badass mother who don't take no crap off of nobody. To speak the truth is a very lonely path. The heathen hammer wielding, irreverent, sarcastic, gobshite slaying lone wolf on guitar. Out.